So, where did you stay last night?
At McDevitt's. I got to drinking with Doyle and a couple of the guys.
That explains why you look so ill today. Did you get any sleep at all?
Not much. I had to share the room with another guy.
Did he snore?
Hardly. He was dead.
And you say Pigram has disappeared?
Without a trace. But my visit wasn't a complete waste of time.
Pigram's gem?
The Templars gem. Whoever Jacques Marquet is, he's in for a disappointment.
Jacques Marquet?
He's the guy who should have collected the gem from Fitzgerald.
What are your plans?
I want to find out who, what, or where Montfaucon was. All I've got to go by is the name and a picture of a hanged man.
Who fixed Leary's pumps? I doubt that it was George. They probably called in a professional.
Do you want to look after the gem?
No, George. I'd be too tempted to sell it.
Look, Nico, a handful of plaster.
Yeah. Why is it that men never really grow up?
What's your problem, sister?
Your pockets stuffed with useless junk like little boys.
You never know when useless junk might come in handy.
What's so useless about a red nose and some plaster? I mean, the plaster did come in use.
I can't sit here all day, much as I'd like to.
Okay. Don't forget to look for Lobineau at the Krone Museum. And why don't you see if Rosso has heard anything?
Okay. Anything else I can do for you while I'm out? Shopping, a trip to the laundromat?
Just take care of yourself.
Oh, hi.
Hello, my handsome friend.
What do you make of this gem?
Very nice, chérie. A present for your girlfriend?
She's not my girlfriend.
Nonsense. You and her were made for each other.
Does this powder mean anything to you?
No, it doesn't.
See you later.
That's right, monsieur. You will.
I'm going to swing by the police station first. It shouldn't take more than a couple of minutes.
Excuse me.
What do you want now?
Maybe not. Maybe not. Have you heard of a man called Marquet?
Yes. He used to be known as the Mole of Montmartre. I heard he's been hospitalized, probably by one of his rivals.
Which hospital was Marquet taken to?
The Hagenmeyer Clinic, in the Avenue des Hérissons.
Why was Marquet known as the Mole of Montmartre?
Because he lived in Montmartre, I suppose.
Yeah, but why the mole?
I don't know. Maybe he ruined people's lawns.
Is Rosso here?
Yes, he is. You wish to speak to him?
Yes, I do.
One moment, monsieur. It's Stobart, monsieur. He insists on talking to you again.
Thank you, Moo. What now, monsieur?
What do you make of this, Inspector?
Astounding. Where did you come by a stone like that?
I was given it by a man in a bar in Ireland. Do you recognize the gem?
It is unfamiliar to me. If such a jewel had been stolen, I would know it for sure.
What do you make of this white powder, Rosso?
It is plaster.
Say, you're good. Ever heard of a guy called Marquet? Jacques Marquet?
Marquet. I know the name well. He has a record for suspected blackmail, kidnapping, arson, and art theft.
An all-rounder, huh? How come he's on the loose?
His bravado is matched only by the courtroom skills of his attorney.
Have you heard of Professor Pegram, the archaeologist?
Molly Pegram, the second son of Lord Barclay Pegram.
I don't know. I only read about him in a magazine.
So much for the efficacy of rehabilitation. What has he done this time?
He made an important archaeological find in Ireland. Do you know Pegram well?
I have connections with the family, but I wouldn't say I knew him at all.
Is his name really Molly?
Of course not. That was the nickname he was given at school. All his friends and acquaintances know him as Molly.
So long, Inspector.
He was surprisingly helpful. Lobineau can wait. If someone is out to kill Marquet, we may as well find him before someone tries to finish the job.
The old building managed to retain some of its original grandeur, but the modern additions looked like a baseball cap on a statue of a medieval saint. There was no sign of the crew of the ambulance. I felt a little guilty as I tried the door, like I was about to rob a grave. I gripped the handle with an involuntary tremble in my hand and pulled. The door was locked. The woman managed to look overworked and hassled, though she didn't appear to be doing anything.
What is that noise? Sounds like a weird robot going off in the background.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir?
Is this the Hagenmeyer Clinic?
That's correct.
I thought I was in a garden center.
Oh, the plans. They were my idea. A little greenery to evoke the spirit of nature. How may I help you?
Has Marquet been visited by a man in a clown costume?
Oh, no.
You haven't seen a man in disguise?
Well, there's Theodore the Bear. He comes every Thursday to entertain the children. Personally, I think he scares them half to death in that crummy old bear suit. If I was stuck on my back with tubes in every orifice, he's the last person I'd want to see.
Has Marquet had a visit from a pair of gangsters?
I should hope not. Can you describe them?
A thin guy who looks like a weasel and his friend, the gorilla.
Sounds as if they escaped from the zoo.
I like how George goes straight to the point, instead of actually inquiring if Marquet is here and where he is.
I'm here to see Jacques Marquet.
Oh, yes. Are you related to our client, sir?
Okay, I spoke too soon. Maybe they were in the wrong order. Do we say we are a relative or not? I mean, Marquet is French, I believe. And we are an American tourist. We probably would get further if we said yes, but it is a bit far-fetched.
No, I'm conducting a private investigation.
Then I can't help you.
So, do I get to see Marquet before the funeral?
That attitude will get you nowhere. My instructions were quite clear. No one gets to see Marquet. So unless you can prove you're a relative or a close acquaintance, you're wasting your time here.
What does this false nose remind you of?
Oh, it's a clown's nose.
That's right.
Why don't you give me a break and go and play with someone else?
Have you seen this man here at the clinic?
No, sir. And I never forget a face.
What does this gem suggest to you?
I advise you not to flash that around. The hospital insurance wouldn't cover it if it was stolen.
Look at this ID pass.
So you're Merlin. Marquet's been asking for you.
For me?
Yes. He was shouting your name when they brought him in here. Now, let me see. He was on Ward B12, as I recall. Oh, he's been transferred to... Oh dear, he's on Ward J2. That's... Nurse Grendel's ward.
I will find out more about her in a moment.
What does this tool suggest to you?
Is it a crack detector?
Huh?
Polar explorers use them to poke about in the snow.
No. Have you heard of the Club Alamet?
No. It sounds romantic, doesn't it? The kind of place where you get little umbrellas and whelks.
Huh? That's romantic?
I know what whelks are. I've seen them and I've tasted them. They are definitely not romantic.
Is this plaster any use to you?
I'm allergic to plaster.
I'd like to shake you by the hand.
Don't be fresh, young man.
Can you think of any use for this greasy tissue?
I guess you could use it to baste a roast turkey.
What's so bad about Nurse Grendel?
She runs that ward like a South American prison.
Keeping a well-disciplined ward isn't a crime, is it?
Well disciplined. In the discipline and punishment stakes, she'd whip the butt off the Marquis de Sade. Everything, I mean everything, is done to a strict routine. 6 o'clock alarm call, 6:10 bowel movements, and woe betide anyone who doesn't have a result. Those patients of hers are like Pavlova's dogs.
She sounds like a real nightmare.
And then some.
If Nurse Grendel is that bad, how come the authorities tolerate her?
She's like part of the furniture.
Oh, you mean she's been here a long time?
No, I mean there's not a man in this clinic who hasn't sprawled out on her.
I was beginning to get the picture. This woman was jealous, with a big green capital J. How do I find Nurse Grendel's ward?
Down the corridor on the left, turn right at the senior consultant's washroom. Right again at the executive coffee lounge. Bear left past the administrator's sauna. And turn left at the end. That's J2. And good luck.
Thank you. And hopefully they won't mind if we visit the sauna.
Thanks for your help, ma'am.
You're welcome.
This guy seems quite fidgety.
The young man's face was full of eagerness and enthusiasm. I figured he was fresh from college. Hi, my name's George Stobart.
Pleased to meet you, sir.
Call me George if you like.
Are you sure?
Yeah, that's my name.
My name's Benoit, but everyone calls me Bunny.
Bunny?
That's right. I used to have this cute habit when I was a kid.
Keep it to yourself, Benoit.
I wonder if it involved a carrot.
Does this false nose mean anything to you?
No, it doesn't.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
No, monsieur. I've never seen him before.
Does this gem mean anything to you?
Not me, sir.
Have you ever heard of a guy named Merlin?
No, sir.
What does this tool suggest to you?
Isn't that used to snap the patient's ribs when exploring the abdomen?
I hope not. Have you ever heard of the Club Alamet?
No, sir.
Do you know what this white powder is?
No, sir.
Shake my hand, Benoit.
I don't think that's a good idea, sir.
How come?
Dermatitis.
I don't have dermatitis.
I do.
What does this tissue mean to you?
Is that a nasal discharge, sir?
No, it's grease paint. Do you know anything about a patient named Marquet?
No, sir, I don't know much about any of the patients.
I've never met a doctor who admits that he's only human.
I'm only a trainee, sir. I'm sure I'll get the hang of things.
Do you know the nurse on Ward J2?
No, monsieur. This is my first day here. I can't wait to get my hands dirty. I was talking about treating my first patient, of course. I didn't mean I'd get my hands dirty with a nurse.
Okay, that was not necessary. I hope he keeps his hands dirty on the patients in the correct way.
See you later.
Right.
The guy seemed to be practicing his air of authority. Today he was working on his withering stare.
If his legs were any more further apart, he might cause himself an injury.
Hi, my name's George Stobart.
Really? If you wish to make an appointment, see the receptionist.
Do you recognize this red nose, sir?
No, I do not. This is a hospital, not a circus ring. We minister to the sick in body, not the sick in mind.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
No, sir, I do not.
Look at this, Doc. It's a genuine medieval type gemstone.
Yes, so I see. Remarkable.
Does the name Thomas Merlin mean anything to you?
No, it does not.
Does this tool mean anything to you?
Sacre bleu! That's exactly what I needed in my last operation.
It is?
I had to improvise with a knitting needle and a couple of corks. If only you'd been on hand at the time, my patient would have given his right arm for it.
What kind of surgery was he doing? I'm guessing this involved a right arm, but a cork?
Have you ever heard of the Club Alamat?
No, sir, I have not.
Does this white powder mean anything to you?
No, sir, I do not pretend to know the pharmacist's job.
May I have the honor of shaking you by the hand?
You may not. I don't encourage physical contact between my staff.
What do you make of this tissue, sir?
Interessant. I thought I knew the ins and outs of the human body, but this has me beat. If I were you, I'd have this sample analyzed.
Thanks for your help.
We can go left or right. The receptionist, I believe, said left. If we tried to go through these entrances before we spoke to the receptionist, then we get this message. We would have got the same message going down this passageway, but now we have directions.
As I turned the corner, I saw the source of the hellish noise which echoed through the corridors. It was an industrial polishing machine with an odd-looking guy in tow.
Wait, the directions we were given mentioned several turns. This must be a very loud machine.
He looked blissfully happy, for no apparent reason.
Well, sometimes it's the simple things in life.
Hello.
What's that?
I said hello.
Oh, hiya.
I'd like to talk to you for a minute.
That's what I thought you said. Don't look so down in the mouth. No matter how bad things seem, I never let life get on top of me.
Oh, yeah? What's your secret?
Why, it's easy. All you have to do is smile and whistle this little tune.
You know what? If you start whistling, I'll bust you in the teeth.
It's a deal.
I'm sure that would make George smile.
Take a look at this red nose.
Are you a policeman?
No, this is a clown's nose, not a policeman's. Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
Who is it?
That's what I'm asking you. Have you seen him before?
How should I know? You haven't told me who he is.
Take a look at the photo.
Yeah, okay.
Now, have you seen him before?
No.
What do you think of this, Sam?
Oh boy. What is it?
A priceless gemstone, found in a medieval castle in Ireland. Get me into Marquet's ward, and it's yours.
I don't wear jewellery.
Do you recognize this pass?
No, I don't. Should I?
No, but I wondered if you'd seen a stranger flashing it about.
No, sir. But if I had, Mr. Shiny would take care of him.
Would this tool be any use to you?
No, sir. Mr. Shiny has no user-serviceable parts. Whatever that means.
Do you recognize this matchbook?
You should never ever play with matches.
I know that, but...
People get hurt when they do.
Sure,
They end up in hospital, like the burger lady. She was so burned up they didn't know whether to use bandages or onions.
The burger lady? What happened to her?
Do you recognize this powder?
Is that dandruff?
No way.
It sure looks like dandruff.
It's plaster.
Ugh!
To plaster, but not to dandruff.
Would you like to shake my hand?
Not until I've washed, if you don't mind, sir. You can pick up all kinds of things in a hospital.
Like nurses, right?
No, sir. Bugs and germs. And fungal infections.
What does this tissue suggest to you?
You have a cold. What you need is vitamin C. And a side order of machine oil.
Do you know a nurse called Grendel?
Sure I do.
Is she on duty today?
Yeah. End of the corridor, Ward J2.
Would Mr. Shiny be your polishing machine by any chance?
Please, don't call him that. He's more of a friend than a machine. I've had Mr. Shiny for 3 years and he's never let me down once.
How come you got so attached to a polishing machine?
I asked you not to call him that. He's got a name, you know.
Yeah, Mr. Shiny. It's just that...
You think it's odd, don't you?
No,
I don't mind. The rest of the staff think I'm twisted. I heard them snorking behind me back when I gave Mr. Shiny his weekly pull through.
Whatever you've got with this metal mop foot is probably a fine and noble thing.
It is? Say, it's not every day I meet someone as crazy as me.
Have you seen any unsavory characters lurking about in the quarters?
No, sir, I haven't. But I've got nothing to worry about. What's that, Mr. Shiny? You'd take good care of the rascals, I'll bet you would. With a friend like him, I've no fear of oppressors.
It must be a great comfort.
He is.
Do you know where I'd find a patient called Marquet?
No, I'm not allowed on the wards with Mr. Shiny.
He's not permanently attached to this, is he? Surely he can walk around without shining the floors?
See you later.
Yeah, take care now.
Or is that asking too much?
It was a classic example of functionalism, like an early Soviet spacecraft. I almost expected to see a dog or a monkey leap out. I wasn't in the mood for shining floors. The door didn't have a sign or label or any kind of identification.
Hey now, you can't go in there.
How come?
I'm responsible for the contents of that cupboard.
It was a life-sized marble figure of a guy in robes. The sculptor had tried to give him a look of paternal authority and concern. To my mind, he looked just plain constipated. I guess the water cooler was for the use of people lost in the corridors. Maybe the face of the unaccountably happy domestic had made me unduly suspicious. I mean, I knew it was only my imagination, but the water tasted, well, peculiar. The connector in the socket supplied electricity to the polishing machine. As I tugged the plug out of the socket, the polishing machine coughed, spluttered, and died.
Mr. Shiny, what's wrong, pal?
The timing of this always seemed quite off, as we only regain control when he starts walking back and not when he starts walking through. I will get to that soon. So we have two options here, up or down. And it does matter. Well, kind of not. As you can see, it just sends you back to the corridors if you take the wrong route.
Oui, monsieur.
Is this Ward J2?
It is, but you're not supposed to be here. We have strict rules about visiting hours.
Can't you make an exception? I've come all the way from California.
You must speak to the doctor.
I can't wait that long. What if he snuffs it?
You can't talk like that here. This is a hospital. You will have to leave.
Do you recognize this red nose?
Oh dear, I don't think he'll be needing that again.
Who?
Monsieur Boissy, the comatose clown.
The best kind of clown.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
No, I don't.
Does this gem mean anything to you?
It's beautiful, but I've never seen it before.
Do you know Merlin of Gruber Electronics?
No, I don't.
So, just who was Marquet talking about Merlin to? Because the receptionist knew. And she is in charge of this ward, apparently.
Does this tool mean anything to you?
I don't recognize it.
Does this mean anything to you?
The Club Alamut? I've never heard of it.
Is this plaster any use to you?
No, it isn't.
Would you like to shake hands with me?
Well,
No, it's okay. Forget it. I didn't really want to use it on her anyway. Do you recognize this tissue?
no, I don't. It looks like a chronic health risk to me.
Well, I've been carrying it around for days and I'm okay. My pocket's getting a little soggy. Do you have any clowns on the ward?
Why, yes, we do. A professional clown.
I'll bet he lightens the place up.
Hardly. Monsieur Boissy has been in a coma for the last 3 months.
What's wrong with Boissy?
He was involved in a very nasty accident. A silly stunt involving a unicycle. His current condition is due to post-traumatic shock. It's unlikely he'll ever perform as a clown again.
It's an ill wind that blows nobody any good. Do you have a patient named Marquet on this ward?
Oui, monsieur. He is in the private room at the end of the ward. He has been placed in strict isolation.
You can tell me how my brother is, can't you?
Of course, monsieur. What is his name?
Jacques Marquet.
Let me see. He's satisfactory.
I was told he was dying.
Oh, well, he is, but the doctor described his condition as satisfactory. That's quite an improvement on yesterday.
What was his condition yesterday? And by satisfactory, is dying satisfactory, maybe?
Do you know who paid for Marquet's room?
No, of course I don't.
Preferential treatment like that must cost an arm and a leg.
That's not my concern, monsieur.
Thank you, nurse.
You may come back at visiting time, monsieur.
Thanks. When is that?
The second Tuesday of each month.
I guess we will be back then. Let's see what's in that cupboard.
As I tugged the plug out of the socket, the polishing machine coughed, spluttered, and died.
Not again! This is not a good day!
Poor Mr. Shiny. You can't kick your best friend.
Dr. Stobart at your service.
I wonder if Nurse Grendel will let us on the ward now.